Hey there, this is Jason Eichmiller. I'm here with Tim Piotrowski. Did I get your name right, Tim? Your last name right?
Yep.
All right.
Yep, that was fine.
Love it, love it. So I'm here with Tim. Tim is a CPA, also a forensic CPA, and I don't really know what that means, but it means that he's got a lot of letters after his last name, and he's a smart guy. And he's also a loan originator at a company called First Alliance Home Mortgage. And Tim and I just worked together to help a wonderful couple and their son also, because their son was aboard, learn about and get a reverse mortgage. So personally, I've done like over 400 of these. So sometimes I lose the forest from the trees. So, but Tim was kind of in there, and Tim was interacting with them and speaking with them every day. And Tim also vetted the whole situation out. So I'm really excited to hear Tim's insight on how this works. So Tim, welcome. Thanks for coming on.
Glad to be here. You know, I had a very good experience doing this reverse mortgage.
Oh, that's awesome. So I guess starting from the beginning, we're going to call them the T's here. What brought the T's over to you? Like, kind of how did you get introduced?
Sure. Well, they've been my tax clients for probably 20 years. You know, they had their own business, and then eventually they closed the business and retired. And I, see them every year to do the taxes, and noticed, they're on Social Security and a small pension, and that's basically it. So I would remind them every year. I would never push them or prompt them, but they do have an option. They have a house that's paid off, and they have a reverse mortgage option. This is some money that they could access if they wanted it, and it's always there. So I kept mentioning it, and after a few years, and then finally, one year they said, out of the blue, they called and said, "Yeah, we'd be interested in pursuing this. How does it work?" And so I went over it all, and basically they gave it the green light, and wanted to go forward with the reverse mortgage.
That's awesome.
So,
that's cool.
So a lot of us have many accounting clients over the last 20, 30 years, and guess what? We're all getting older, and there's a lot of opportunity out there, to help these people.
Yeah. What do you think are some, I guess maybe not warning signs? I'll use warning signs. Like, what do you think with the T's, and what do you think for other folks are signs where they thought, like, okay, we're on fixed income, we should probably look at this as a solution now versus not looking at it for the previous years?
One of the big things is, as your expenses go up. The income is fixed, not increasing as fast as property taxes and other living expenses, so it gets harder to make ends meet each month. Another big issue is health issues. They'd like to be able to do things while they still can do things. And so, the decision, hey, if we had some additional, money, we could do things. We could travel. We could, enjoy a better quality of life. And so I think, got to that point where they considered and said, yeah, this makes a lot of sense.
That's awesome. And when they came to you first, how did they kind of feel? Were they a little like dejected about where they were right then, or was it more of excitement about where they can be?
I think it was excitement.
Awesome.
I have
That's great.
I'm fortunate that I have a very high trust level, because I've been their accountant for all these years, and guided them through a lot of different scenarios. So they felt comfortable with me, and the thought that maybe they could get some extra money to live on and make their life better, and so they were enthusiastic about it, but a little apprehensive at the same time, not really understanding how the whole process would work.
Yeah. Did they bring up any kind of like myths, or now that you kind of have a greater understanding on how these reverses work, did they bring up any myths or misconceptions?
Sure. Of course, they were afraid that their children will be stuck with this mortgage if something happened to them. I think that was one of the main things, and just really trying to understand how it worked, and can they be put out of the house? Those type of things, which we all know. No, you're not going to be put out of your house. Your children are not going to be saddled with a mortgage that's bigger than the value of the house. Things like that. It doesn't work that way.
But it's a valid concern too. I mean, because they're they're not in this financial world, and there's been so many myths like flying around like left and right about this. So
Oh, exactly. So being able to, give them the truth, the clear answers, and set their mind at ease. And also, it looks like, now the newer guidelines with reverse mortgage, you don't take the 100% of the equity out in day one. There still is quite a bit of remaining equity after the loan, so they're still in a comfortable position.
How was their son, by the way? So you interacted a lot with their son, Tim.
Oh yeah.
Was he? What were his thoughts like before going through it?
Oh sure. Well, he was in favor of it because it would provide a better benefit for the parents. The son is in his, I guess, late 30s, early 40s.
Yeah.
An intelligent, businessman, and so I was very thankful that he was involved, because I wanted him on board, let him understand what's going on. We're not, trying to swindle the parents out of the house, as many people may have these old myths. So, having him involved and on board made it easier, because so he could even explain things. They also have a little bit of a language barrier. Not that they had a language barrier. I think they're from Russia, so they speak good English, but the son could communicate to them in their native language if need be, and just reiterate things to them.
Yeah,
so
especially when
having the son on board, I think, was very important, and especially if there could be, they had one child, there could be many siblings, and they just want to find out one day, oh, my parents took out a reverse mortgage. It's like having them involved in the process is better. It's proactive, and they're all aware of what's going on.
Man, that's so awesome. And like, just statistically, or my own statistics, I'll put it that way, about 90% of the kids that I work with, they want their parents to have help. They're not greedy. Their biggest worry is they just want to they've heard the myths just like everyone else. They look at you in the eye and they say, hey, I want my parents to have help, but I don't want any way that they can lose the house. They don't even care too much about their inheritance. They're just like, hey, it's mom and dad's money. Let mom and dad do what they want with it. And on the flip side, mom and dad are normally like, yeah, we want help. We know we need to do this, but if there is a way that we can leave something for the kids and we can ensure that they get it, the house, then all the better. So then you got education. Yeah.
That's exactly the sentiment that I ran across. Same thing. The children wanted the parents to be better off. The parents wanted something left for the children, but they were all good. I've had other reverse mortgages in the past where I've almost tried to talk the person out of it and say, why don't you just sell your house, move into an apartment, cash out with some money? But that's where they live. They're comfortable. However, they're living in a house, the roof leaks, they need a new furnace, they can't afford it. So the reverse mortgage gave that person the ability to stay in their house where they want it to be, live comfortably, and have maintain the household in proper repair.
Yeah, and sometimes it's a money thing on one end, but it's a psychological thing on the other end. These people have they got married in their houses in a lot of cases. Their kids grew up in the house, possibly a spouse passed away, or they're both banding together. And yeah, there's the option, and that's what I try to do is explain, like, okay, well, you can use a reverse if you qualify, because not everybody does. I think that's an important thing to put out there. But you could get a reverse to stay in the house. But your other options are, hey, maybe you need to downsize. Maybe you need to use a reverse to buy a rancher instead of this 2 or 3 story monstrosity that you're living in. Maybe you need to go into senior housing, but a lot of times it's like, 2 options. They're like, maybe I can downsize or maybe I can stay there. But like my heart, the saying, home is where the heart is. Their heart really is in the home. And then it's kind of up to us in the finance world to say, okay, well, these are your options, and like crunch the numbers and say, okay, if you do it this way, you get a reverse and you're responsible with your money, you take this out, you leave the rest in, you structure it the right way, then you've got the best chance of staying in your house forever for the rest of your life. That's
a good way to look at it. I often tell clients is say, listen, I understand the emotion behind it. I'm on the other side of the table, so I'm taking the emotion out, just giving you the information and the facts and the options, and that's a good way to approach it, I think.
Absolutely, absolutely. Hey, question: do you think you know how they had to do that that counseling phone call? And for those of you who don't know, counseling is basically where they talk to a counselor who's disinterested. They could care less whether the senior does the reverse or doesn't do it, but they just want to make sure that we were responsible and explained everything to them, and they have a pretty good understanding of it. Do you think the counseling like helped them at all? Like, were they pretty okay from the get go?
I think it helps. I explained to them that it was something that needed to be done, but I think it also helps because now they're hearing both the pros and cons from a third independent party. There's no arm twisting. No one has a vested interest in it, and especially if it reiterates what you've already told them. So they're hearing the same information you've already told them a second time.
Man, isn't it crazy when you just tell people the truth? I mean, I always say I've got to tell the truth because I won't remember what I said anyway. But if you just tell them the truth, then the counseling can do one of two things. One, it can say that, hey, this isn't right for you. Or two, on the other hand, it can say, you can, like in your mind as a senior, you can say, okay, well, all this information is accurate and it's consistent. So people, when they leave the counseling appointment, whether they do it over the phone or face to face, they feel empowered and they feel confident in their decision. And that honestly is, as originators and folks who are helping like guide them through, it's a lot, it's better.
It is a lot better. It's a vote of confidence. I mean, you've been upfront with them, and now they're hearing it from a third-party person saying, "Yep, this is how the program works," and also just they're being that much more informed. So I think that was a positive experience.
That's so awesome. So if I have you put on your CPA hat for a second here. Now that they did this reverse mortgage, how confident are you, Tim, that the T's that they're going to be able to live comfortably in their house for the rest of their lives? Do you think it's a pretty good shot, or are there any doubts?
They're going to be very well off. This is going to be amazing, life-changing for them. And it's funny, one of the things I forgot to mention is that they were concerned about the income tax aspect of it. Mm-hmm. Them and their son say, well, do we have to pay tax on this money? I say, no, it's all, it's a loan. It's tax-free. It's not income to you. So you get that money, you can spend it as you wish. And I know there's a lot of things they want to do. I think the wife is not in the best of health. So she has some issues, but she can still do things. So they would now they have the ability to do things and travel a little bit and do much more while they can. So it's going to be amazing for them.
Blessing, man. That's an absolute blessing. I want to revisit the tax-free thing because I think it's really important. And I am not a tax professional. I am not a CPA, so I try to tread a little light on it. But can you, for folks who are like, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. We're giving you money that you don't have to pay back, and even if you use a line of credit, the money grows tax-free. Can you explain why this money is tax-free, Tim?
Oh, sure. In the simplest terms, it's not income. It's a loan. Just like if you went and got a first mortgage on your house, or if you did a cash out refinance to pay off credit cards, and you got $50,000, cash out. You're not paying tax on that $50,000 cash out. It's a loan that you have to repay at some point. And then with the reverse mortgage, instead of paying it now, you're either going to pay it in a future date when the house is sold, or whatever the instance is in the future. But it's not current income to you, so there's no tax to be paid.
Gotcha. It has to be paid back in the end. We are not Ed McMahon or Ed McMahon's son or Ed McMahon's grandson coming over with a bunch of cash. Yeah, it is real. These mortgage companies have to make money. It's secured by HUD and it's insured by the FHA. So there's a lot of protections, but it's nice to know that this is a real thing. And it's really nice to know that when you get 100,000, 200,000, whatever you're getting, to not have to pay taxes on it, that's pretty okay.
Yeah. It is pretty amazing. I wish someone would give me $90,000 and I don't have to pay tax on it. I'd be happy too.
Yeah, man. Serious. I'm 39. I'd do this in a heartbeat. I got a couple years to go though.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I guess it's a double-edged yin yang, right? And let me ask you this, for other financial professionals, whether they're like a financial advisor or a CPA or even an attorney, who, if they see that there's like kind of an issue with their clients or their loved ones, what do you think, what would you kind of recommend? Like, what questions would you have them kind of ask their clients to figure out if a reverse made sense, or if it's not the right thing?
Well, first, if you had a good picture of their current financial position, to see, are they struggling financially, or just barely, enough to, pay the basic bills and put food on the table. That's an indication, hey, they need some financial relief.
Yeah.
And then, the second thing is, what do they intend to do with the funds? Say, well, we like to go down to Atlantic City. I wish we could afford to go down there more often.
Oh, God.
That's really not a good reason to, take out a reverse mortgage so you can gamble, But, if they're in a home, if they want to stay in their home, they're adamant about it, and the home needs repairs. If they're in a house that's paid off and they've been in there for, 30, 40, 50, 60 years, and they can't afford to do the repairs. So this is something they can get money out to fix up the house, and be able to stay in there and live the life that they want. Doing some traveling, maybe they buy a new car. I mean, everybody has a car. What if you can't afford a new lease or a new car and you're driving around in a broken down, So things that we may be taking for granted right now, but having those financial resources can make a big difference. So kind of getting an overview of their financial position, things that they would like to do and they can't afford to do, and seeing if this would be a good fit for them.
Oh, that's great. That's great. That's awesome advice, man. Right now, Tim, we're actually using reverses to help seniors who own their own business. If they're trying to capitalize, like get a small business loan, we're having them do, if they have the equity in their house, of course, and it's the right thing, we have them do a reverse as opposed to getting a business loan, because then a lot of times you get a business loan, you're factoring, and you have monthly, hell, sometimes it's daily obligations back. So you do this, you don't have any cash flow hit, so you can reinvest everything back into the business. So there's a lot of creative financial planning stuff that's being used now with this.
Yeah, no, you're right. That is an interesting way to use it, and it does. It's kind of like a cash injection that you don't have to pay back right away, or not at all.
Yeah, if you can safely use it to grow your money. Now, the government does not want you to use it to invest, and I get it, because if you invested in 2007, then 2008 happened, your money's gone, and that's like the last branch on your money tree. Like, we want to use this to preserve your money tree so that you can be as liquid as possible and have as many leaves that you can pluck so your retirement can last as long as possible. But on the other hand, if you have something where that you're going to do pretty well off of it, then it's certainly a discussion to have. But I would have that discussion with Tim, with an accountant, with somebody who can, just like Tim said before, unemotionally look at the numbers and be able to advise you, not on what you want to hear, but what the exact truth is.
Exactly.
And that's hard to do sometimes, because and I know, like, people sometimes don't listen to us. They're like, no, I either want to do this or I don't want to do this. And you're thinking, like, well, that's maybe not the most logical way to go. Just flipping it a little bit, Tim, tell me a little bit about how, like, kind of how the internal process was with us working together. And I guess I should say, first of all, Tim, you're awesome to work with. I really, really enjoyed it.
Oh, thanks. Same to you. You made the process a lot easier for me, believe me. So it worked out very well. I had not done a reverse mortgage recently, and I had in my mind, there's nothing to qualify. You got a house, you get appraisers, boom. But in reality, the people still have to pay their property taxes and homeowners insurance and living expenses. So there is more of like an income qualification. And as you have older persons, they're either going to be on Social Security or a pension. So you have to be able to get their Social Security award letter, get their pension letter to show that it's continuing, and things like that. So, it's not just getting a W-2 form. Sometimes it's a little difficult, to hunt those things down, but those, have to be prepared to get those. and the elderly person may not be computer savvy and know how to create an account with Social Security so they can print out their award letter, and you need to guide them along. So,
yeah.
So that's one of the things that, there are some qualifying things that have to be in place.
Yeah, we try to get them in one fell swoop. I know we had sometimes, if you look at things that sometimes come up with reverse mortgages, because the folks are older and they haven't looked at some of the stuff in a while. We had a couple liens on title that had just popped up that the previous title companies hadn't satisfied. So word to the wise, if you're a family member, a senior, you're an advisor, check your deed. See what's secured on your deed and make sure that there isn't any old mortgage or old equity line or judgment hanging out there, because we went through this, right?
Oh yeah, I had some issues. I've seen. I don't think it happens too often now, but I've seen where people pay off the mortgage and the mortgage company mails them the original mortgage. It's canceled, but guess what? It's got to be recorded. So it goes in they'll record it. It's in a drawer somewhere for 20 years, and then you go to do something, and hey, this mortgage is still here. It's not satisfied. So it's I guess out of sight, out of mind. There's nobody sending them letters saying your mortgage payment is due. They figure everything is good, but you got to get that clear chain of title there.
Yeah, absolutely. So things do come up, but it's important to know that, so as long as you create a lot of goodwill in the beginning, always tell them the truth. You're always upfront with what you need. I'm a big fan of trying to get everything in one fell swoop, or as close as one fell swoop, while letting them know also that, hey, we have an appraisal done. Your house has to be in decent shape. We're going to look at your title, and if there is something that's off, just like the T's, then we're going to work together to get it off. But I mean, we do see stuff like this that come up. And by the way, they were awesome at getting everything for us, so that's like super appreciated.
And it worked out well, and keeping them informed, because you may hit a bump in the road. So a lot of times, especially newer loan officers, they don't want to be the bearer of bad news, so they kind of dodge phone calls, and and it's like it just creates more trouble. It's better to say, hey, guess what? We hit this problem. Here's what we're doing to fix it. It may take us another week or two. I'll give you a status, but at least they're in the loop. They know what's going on, and we're all working together.
Yeah, you have to. I always tell the folks that I help, I'm like, this might sound weird, but the way I try to do things, bad news travels faster than good news. So you will know if there's any issues. You'll know if there aren't any issues and we're doing well, but if we have a problem, then we've got to address it like ASAP so that we can get you through the process as quickly and as efficiently as possible.
I have a saying I tell myself, there's no good time to tell bad news. You kind of like to procrastinate and put it off. It's like, you know what? It's never going to be the right moment. Just go. As soon as you find out, just let everybody know and work on it. That's it.
Yeah, and this was good. We ended up doing this pretty quickly anyway, and it was really good news. So question, as far as loan originators go, if they're not very well versed with a reverse mortgage, do you like kind of how we work together? Do you think they should just try it on their own, or is working with a reverse mortgage specialist?
I would recommend 110% working with a reverse mortgage specialist. I mean, you've probably seen it all. Although every time I do a loan, there's something I've never seen before. It seems to happen, but but definitely, your insight and knowledge is it's invaluable. And I would not do this on my own. If I just closed one, if I was doing one tomorrow, I'd be on the phone with you tomorrow.
That's awesome.
Why fight? I mean, it's so easy working with you. Why fight the process? Go. You work with someone who's an expert in it. You explain the situation, and that's definitely the way to go.
Man, I appreciate that so much, and it's so cool, working with you and just knowing. First of all, Tim handled the conversation with the clients. I handled the back end nerd stuff, right? Making sure the numbers were right, making sure the process was flowing well, giving the options so that Tim could communicate it. So it really just it went so smoothly. So I appreciate you. Like it was awesome working together.
No problem. Thank you. We worked well together. I do have another bit of advice because at the closing, so there was the person from the title company who actually gets the documents and things like that, and so she was kind of just like pointing out the signature pages. They sign here, and they were signing, but the son wanted to actually look it over the documents and know what they were signing, So, and this person, I don't think this closer wasn't that familiar with the reverse mortgage documents. So it's important as a loan officer to be familiar with the document. Here's the reverse mortgage note and the mortgage and what these documents mean. So you don't have to explain every paragraph, but you can get a good overview. So the person, if they do ask a question, you're not like a deer in the headlights. I have no idea, Even just some of the numbers of how you're getting from the loan amount to the first disbursement amount and charges and things like that. I mean, I took that page and I just summed up some numbers and made a couple notes so I knew at the end of the day, someone's going to ask, how did you get to that number? So I could very easily show, here's the charges, here's what you're getting. And, it's better to be informed and prepared than not know, especially when you're at the closing table.
Oh, scrambling is no good. And yeah, I think that's a really good point, Tim. The notaries are the notaries. I mean, sometimes you get lucky and you have a notary or closer who has closed a lot of reverse mortgages and they kind of get it. But just making sure, and by the way, since we just closed this last night, this is like hot off the presses conversation.
I know, right?
If their son wants to talk about it, he has a copy of the documents. If not, we can just email it over to him too. But if he wants to talk about anything or just a question like, how did you get here? What does this number mean? How's that go? Just have him give me a call and I'll
no problem. So we actually had a few of those questions last night, but I anticipated that and I was, familiar with it. So there was no problem. I was able to show on the documents where things were, how the numbers flowed, and ultimately everybody was happy with the explanation. So that worked out good, and everything's moving forward.
Oh, lovely. Yeah. All right, now finally, so your first love is you're a accountant, a CPA. Is that right? All right. So tell us a little bit about your practice, where you are, and then like what you can help folks out with.
Oh, sure. Well, we have, I guess, in one sense, a general accounting practice where we do, tax returns, small business, record keeping, accounting. We do advisory services, and on the forensic end, then we do. Let me just close this one part here.
Yeah.
On the forensic end, then we do divorce litigation. If there's a dispute between partners, going to court and doing a lot of analysis work, business valuations. So the whole gamut from soup to nuts. But also, just on the regular individual tax return side, I get to see a lot of people, at least once a year, and get to see where they're at, and and that's where I have opportunities for mortgages, and especially to help people, and I see that they're struggling or they need some relief.
Oh man, that's great. Seems like you really you kind
of. And also, a lot of people have income tax issues, so we do a lot of that tax resolution work.
Oh man, that's cool. Where do you practice?
So our office is in Woodbridge, New Jersey, on Main Street, and it's a great location. Every highway in the world is, crossing over here. I mean, Parkway and Turnpike and 287 and 440, and only if you make a wrong turn here, you might end up in Staten Island. If you miss the exit.
But that's trouble. Stay in New Jersey. Tim, how would somebody get in touch with you if they need help?
If you want, I can give it. The easiest way is by email. Email me. I have a very long email address, but I'll spell it out. So it's Tim, TIM at tax, TAX, client, CLIENT, advisory, ADVISORY.com. So Tim at taxclientadvisory.com.
Tim at taxclientadvisory.com. All right, awesome.
Yeah, and if anyone has situation, feel free to email me if you have a question or a situation, if you need advice on something or an opinion on something, and I'll be happy to, respond.
That's cool. Yeah, and Tim has always been like, when we're working together, like I'd have a question or information for Tim, like we would have communication very quick. Obviously, like if we're in meetings, we're helping somebody else, But I think we were both pretty good at getting back to each other within like 24 hours or probably.
Oh yeah.
Less than that.
You were amazing. I mean, I think you recently moved, and between all of that, you still were getting right back to on things. So I appreciate that.
Oh yeah, no problem. So from Ambler, Pennsylvania, right outside of Philly, to a little town called Wellington, outside of West Palm Beach, down in Florida. So it's just one thing I knew is when I moved, I didn't want it to. I mean, I knew it would disrupt something at some point in time, but I wanted to do everything I possibly could. So within my power, whatever that is, to like make sure that things went smooth in business and the folks that we helped didn't get disrupted. Half the folks didn't even know. Like I went, like, are you coming to closing? Like, nah, man, I'm in Florida, but I'll be on the phone with you the entire time. Like, Florida, when did that happen? Like, you didn't know, because I didn't want you to be nervous. I didn't want you to be disrupted. So
you did a good job. They didn't know. That means you're successful there.
Thanks. Hey, if you want, winter's coming up, you want a break from Jersey, you know where to find me.
I said, I appreciate it. I'll think about that.
That's awesome, Tim. Well, hey, man, I really appreciate your time here. It was really fun. Anybody who needs help as far as taxes go, divorce, anything along those lines, if you got to return back, if the IRS is knocking at your door, anything like that, please reach out to Tim. He's just a hell of a guy, such a nice guy, and he'll do his best to help. And Tim, I appreciate you allowing me to help you serve the T's, and hopefully we can work together on lots of these things coming up.
I appreciate that too. I look forward to working with you much more in the future.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, man. Back to the grind. Have a wonderful day, and we'll catch up real soon.
Thanks. You too. Thanks, Jason. Take care.
You got it. Take care. All right. So that was Tim. He is an awesome CPA. Great guy. You can tell he really cares about his clients, and it's so fun and like wonderful to work with folks like that, because you know that they have their clients' best interests at heart, and then when you go to help, it just makes things go so much smoother. He really is, like, he's a center of influence. His client, I mean, they asked lots of questions, which it all flowed downhill. I had to answer them all. But you could tell that he wasn't going to advise his clients to do something that wasn't in their best interest and wasn't the best thing for him. So we need more Tims. If you are a financial advisor, a CPA, an attorney, if you're a realtor, if you own a home health care agency, if you have a senior who you think needs a little bit of help, I'd be more than happy to discuss with you or them or their family members. As you can know from our conversation, when you work with kids, most of the time the kids just want to make sure that their parents are safe and secure, and this isn't going to do anything crazy. So it's awesome to be able to work with the family members and work with advisors. So if you do need anything, you can reach me at Jason E at reversemortgagereality.com. Again, that's Jason E at reversemortgagereality.com. Or you can just give me a ring, 267-289-1095. Again, my phone number is 267-289-1095. Thank you so much. Hope our little interview helped, and hopefully looking forward to talking soon. Take care.